Pinged. I'm starting the recording. Say hi to YouTube. It's gonna be super awkward if nobody actually said anything. Oh, Lonzahel says something. Nice, thank you. So I'm not completely dead streamer. So yeah. At least one person actually responded to that. So I'm not completely dead. Today, according to the schedule, hello everyone. By the way, hello everyone. I'm making tea. Before I start, I want to acknowledge the donations and subs I received while being offline. Actually, I received so far only one donation from Anonymous. $10, my god. Thanks for the streams, Zozi. Well, you're welcome. Thank you for watching them, and thank you so much for the $10 donations. Very, very generous donation. Thank you so much, really appreciate it. So today is what? Today is Sunday, the day of the sun, and today, according to the schedule, we're supposed to be doing a game development, but today, when I woke up after breakfast, I tried to play with an idea that I wanted to implement for quite some time, and I actually got hooked up to playing with that idea that I don't know, I kind of want to work on it on the stream, and maybe I'm gonna move the game development to tomorrow. So today I'm gonna be doing something related to a thing called Emote Jam. Right, it's an old project, well, not old project, it's actually a relatively recent project of mine. So let me put a link to this thing in the description. Right, and of course, it's completely open source, as all of my projects are so far open source. I'm not completely fed up with open source ideas, so I'm still publishing my source code regardless of anything. Right. So I think my tea is ready. I'm gonna quickly pour myself a cup of water, and I'm gonna be back. Sorry if it was too long, I have problems with my cable. So Emote Jam is actually a pretty simple idea. Right. Essentially, you can upload a static image and apply one of the filters, right, which animates your static image somehow, and then you can render that into a GIF, which you can easily download. And then you can do whatever you want with this GIF. You can, use it in a Discord maybe, or maybe upload it to BTTV. But primary goal was to actually make them uploadable to BTTV, which is like extension for Twitch that adds animated emotes and stuff like that. It actually adds a lot of different things. Nobody gives a shit about them. Everybody uses BTTV for emotes. I'm joking. Of course, it has a lot of useful features. So, and I allocated a slot for development of Emote Jam on Monday, right? But unfortunately, I kind of want to develop this thing today. So I think I'm gonna swap the slots. So today is gonna be Emote Jam, and tomorrow we're gonna continue doing the game development. So I have a lot of ideas to extend this website and add more different functionality. And for that functionality, we'll need to use some sort of a UI framework, like a front-end JavaScript UI framework. And I really want to keep this entire thing lightweight and sort of like bloat free. And I was thinking, what about we implement our own UI framework? Like it's a very simple one, right? So I'm not suggesting to implement like a whole React or like whole Angular or anything like that, because these framework are designed to be used in so many like ranges of applications, right? They have to be very complicated and very generic. We need a framework that needs to be used in only our website. Can we create such a small, simple framework? And to be fair, like what UI frameworks like front-end JavaScript frameworks do, right? What do? They just transform DOM, right? And DOM is a tree. So that means transforming a DOM is as easy as reverting a binary tree. And anyone can revert a binary tree. It's a very simple problem, right? It's just like, yeah, implementing a front-end framework is as easy as inverting a binary tree. So we can do that. Let's just do that. So yeah, let's just do that. And actually kind of done a similar thing before. I have a schedule page that is completely useless now. Right. Well, it says that I'm live now, yeah, because I'm still following my schedule, even though on my vacation, right? I'm still following my schedule. But I'm doing offline streams instead. What a pathetic person I am. Anyway, so this schedule actually has a lot of vulnerabilities, as you can see. But on top of vulnerabilities, it also has like a small, simple framework implemented inside of it, which is based like on simple components. Like, for example, we have a countdown, and countdown implements a UI component, and yeah, you just basically construct a DOM inside of it, and it almost feels like some sort of like, I don't know, not React, because React has a preprocessor, but you know, UI framework. So can we implement something like that, but for Emote Jam? I could have just taken this thing. I could have just taken this thing and moved it and reused it for Emote Jam, but I think even this small framework that I developed for my schedule is still a little bit more complicated than it should have been. I think I can get it, get this kind of thing even simpler. So, and that's what I want to try to do today. We're gonna just do, the entire stream is gonna be just JS UI framework experimentation. Sounds great, sounds good, sounds Gucci, sounds Tamaguchi. All right, so let me put salt into my tea. And we're gonna start. We're gonna start. All right. So support links is, of course, is a thing. Oh, more people said hello. You see, I'm not completely dead. Yes, not a single person, actually 2 people. I just needed to give them a little bit more time. Yes, okay, I see. Thank you so much for saying hello. All right, so what we're gonna call our framework? To be fair, I don't really know what to call it. Maybe the name for this framework will sort of appear later. Usually when you don't know how to call something, that means you don't have enough information about that thing. And that means we don't have enough information about our UI framework, right? So to gather more information about our UI framework, we need to implement it first, right? Once we implement something that works to some extent, maybe then we'll have enough information to know how we want to call it. Well, sounds good to me. Sounds good to me. Let's go. Let's create something like JS UI.js framework, right? So this is going to be the folder in which we're going to do our experimentations, right? let me actually start Emacs from within this thing. I'm going to start Emacs from within this thing, and let's actually start with just an HTML file. Emacs, why don't you open an HTML file? Thank you so much. Okay, so I probably need to switch to HTML mode, and let's just create a simple HTML document, right? So it has to be something like a doc type HTML. Right, so it's gonna be title. It's not a title, it's head, as far as I know. Right, it consists of a head and the body. Right, so it's gonna be head and the body, and here we're gonna have a maybe title. So the title is gonna be JavaScript UI framework. JavaScript UI framework. And so let's actually define some sort of an entry point, right, at which our like UI framework will build itself. Right, so basically you have a div entry, so our UI framework is supposed to like find this thing and build its UI inside of that div. That's going to be the idea in here. So this is going to be an entry. So, and let's actually include that UI framework. So it's going to be src. Let's call it UI.js, right? So it's going to be UI.js. Yeah, that's a very smart snippet. What can I say? I have a very smart snippet. So here is the UI.js. Let me open it up. Okay. So I suppose we're gonna go window on load, and in here we're gonna try to find the entry point. For some reason, there's something really wrong with my Emacs. It doesn't automatically switch to the corresponding mode when I open the corresponding file. Something broke. Now it does that. Okay, now it does that. So let's actually find the entry point. So it's going to be document get element by ID. I think this is how it's called. So, and in our case, it's going to be just entry. And I think just because this thing has a name entry, right, has a name entry, it's already available inside of the scope of the JavaScript, if I remember correctly. We can try to see if it's true or not. So let me open this thing up. What I wanted to do, I wanted to take a look at the element. So here's an entry, and as far as I know, if I try to do something like entry, does it automatically create it? Entry. Yeah, it does. So you can automatically refer to this thing. Okay. So all right, maybe we don't even have to do that. So I can do something like console entry to indicate that we have this entire thing. And of course, I need to include the script in here. There we go. So here is the entry. Isn't that amazing? So the entire idea that I have for my framework revolves around a simple function. So it's not going to be one of these framework that has a lot of classes and stuff like that. Everything is going to be a function. It's like a functional programming framework. Yes. Yes. How can you claim that you're doing a functional programming if you're using classes? Isn't a purely functional programming framework supposed to use only, functions? You know what I mean? Got him. Imposters. So, and the main function here is going to be actually something like tag. All right. Which just creates a node with a specified name, right? With the specified attributes and with the specified children. So to be fair, for something like children, it would be way more convenient if it was like a variadic arguments. Is variadic even a term in the JavaScript world? Like everywhere in all of the languages, these kind of functions are usually called variadic functions, but JavaScript likes to invent their own terms. Variadic functions. REST parameters, they call them REST parameters. Yeah, I know why. I even know why they're called REST parameters. Because it comes from Lisp, right? In Lisp, these kind of things are called REST parameters, and sort of like JavaScript has this relationship with the scheme, which is a dialect of Lisp. So I'm not surprised that they call them REST parameters. Okay, so we're gonna use REST parameters for this entire thing. And what this entire thing is supposed to do is just supposed to create a node, set the attributes, append the children, and return that node. And so you'll be able to actually nest these things together and have some sort of like a DOM, right? Have an actual DOM inside of JavaScript, so you can move that DOM around, transform it however you want, and so on and so forth. So that's going to be the main idea in here. So, and one of the things we probably want to do, maybe we're going to do it like that. So here's the entry, and we're going to do something like tag. We're going to create div. We're not going to have any attributes. Maybe we can add some sort of like an ID. So it's going to be a tag. And what kind of children we're going to have in there? Probably, I don't know if we're going to have any children. So maybe it's going to be a single tag. Maybe we can have a child as another tag, right? So it's going to be tag div, which is going to be ID child. Right, so ID child, there we go. So we have two nested divs, but it's not going to work because we have not implemented these tags. So how do you create a new node? JavaScript create node. I think it's create element. I think it's something like that. Document create element, right? So it's a document create element. Okay. Document create element, and we're creating an element with that specified name, and this thing is something that we're going to return after we are done transforming it. So so JavaScript element set attribute, set attribute. So it's as simple as that. You just set it, and there we go. So one of the things we probably want to do, we want to do something like attrib of attribs. So attribute is supposed to be an object, and to iterate the keys of the object, you have to use something like in, if I remember correctly. So let's actually imagine that if you have something like full bar, right, full bar, and then hello world, right, hello world, and then you can save that to here, and for const x of access, maybe, is it going to be in? Yeah, it has to be in. And if I try to do something like console log x, it should do the thing. Where is my JavaScript UI framework? So I created this stuff. Let me double check that it actually working. So maybe I'm gonna actually make this thing a little bit bigger so I can see that, you can see that, everyone can see that. All right, so if I do something on this, okay, so we're iterating the keys of this thing, which is precisely what I wanted. So this is going to be just a name, and in here we're going to be doing something like rest set attribute name, and we're going to set it to attributes name like that. There we go. So we set up the attributes, and now we need to iterate the children. So for const child of children, we're going to be doing something like a result append child, right? So we're appending the child in here, and there we go, we have a result already. So, and that enables us already with just like building this DOM inside of JavaScript in a very rudimentary way. English is hard, I'm sorry. And this is what we got. We've got like a div tag, and inside of that thing we got a child. Isn't that cool? I think it's pretty cool, actually. Look, and yeah, we just built it like that. So that's the main idea. That's the core of the framework. This function, the core of the framework. Maybe because of that, maybe the framework has to be called like a tag.js or something. Is it already taken? I'm pretty sure it's already taken. So let's actually see. So the tag library for creating DOM. Shit. Somebody already did that. Did they actually stole my idea? They probably stole my idea. Fuck, it's the same idea. It's literally shit. It's literally the same idea. Someone just Okay, let's actually take a look at it. So you have void tags. Kikomrat. All right. So is element, create element. Shit, it's like it's literally the same code. The fuck? Oh, I love it. I fucking love it. I like how it is like literally the same code. Nice. But is that it? Really? Is that it? And 18 stars. 18 stars. I think we can beat that. I think we can beat that. And I guess that's it. It's actually, yeah, it doesn't do anything. Our framework is gonna actually do a lot of shit on top of that. I have a lot of ideas. So yeah, okay. But it's already taken, npm already taken. So what about tag gg? Like, you know, fuck, somebody already taken that as well. How are you supposed to enter a JavaScript market if it's so goddamn saturated? What about triple G? Triple G. What about tag? I don't know, dollar. Is there something like that? I don't know. You're not allowed to use like a dollar in the name of the packages, but so yeah. What about T tag? Also, everything is fucking taken. Okay. It is what it is, and it isn't what it isn't. So, but they also another idea that I want to actually take further, right? Another idea that I want to take further is we're gonna have a lot of wrappers around this tag function, right? So we're gonna have shit ton of wrappers around this tag function. By the way, what was that npm tag gg? I didn't really look into it. It's a markup, right? And triple G didn't exist. What about tg? tg is probably taken. It's a type checking. tgg. Okay, tgg was already taken, but it's taken by, I don't know what it is. What is tgg? You know what? Maybe I'm gonna actually not, think about the name on the stream, because it will make it easier for somebody to steal it if I come up with something good. So I think I'm not gonna talk about the name of this framework. The name of this framework is gonna be secret until I actually choose the name and take the name on npm. Yes, it's gonna be a secret. So it's going to be a secret UI framework. All right. But maybe for now, as a temporary thing, it's going to be just called tag, right? So this is a code name because it's like a short, very short name, UI.js, and yeah, I think it's just going to be like that. So here's the tag. Maybe on top of that it's going to be tag.js, but it's not a final name. The final name, I'm going to choose it a little bit later. All right, so one of the things that I'm going to do in this framework is I'm going to write a lot of wrappers around this function. For example, I don't want to create divs like that. Creating divs like that is dumb. I want to be able to just have something like function div, which accepts the children, right? Which accepts the children. And essentially it will just redirect to this tag, right? So the attributes, we're not going to set any attributes for now, and I'm going to unpack, or I think this is not an unpacking. So this kind of thing is called unpacking in C++. In JavaScript, it's called like spreading, right? In different languages, people keep reinventing the same shit over and over again and just giving different names, of course. That's the classic thing people do. All right, and now what I want to be able to do, well, we kind of want to have attributes, right? But I want to have a simpler way of actually setting attributes, because I don't want to be able to set, I want to set attributes via these objects and stuff like that. It's kind of like meh. Right, but one of the things we can do here is we can replace like div like so. Right, and it's already a little bit better, right? It's already a little bit better. So if I refresh this entire thing, it is not working. It is not twerking because why? I don't know why, to be fair. What happened? File could not be accessed. Oh, because I renamed the framework. It's called tag. It's even called tag.js. There we go. Could not append child on node, and that happened in some way here. Okay. I wonder where that stuff happened. So where is my tag.js? I cannot find the place where all of that is going on. Cannot append. Attributes. There we go. I see. I think that's what has to be here. And is it working? Is it working? No, it is not working. Parameter is not type of node, but what is it type of what? Is it type of what? Is it type of what? So this is supposed to be a name, and then it's supposed to be a tag, and it should just work, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work. I made a very dumb mistake, and the language is not particularly helping. It is not. So, but what is it then? Okay, so let's actually do something like this. So it's going to be console child. Right, it's going to be a console child. And let me see, what is it saying here? So it says it's undefined. Because I forgot to return. Thank you very much. God damn. Okay. Cool. Yeah, now everything is working correctly. So I had this interesting idea, actually, on how to set up attributes. What if you could set up attributes like so? So essentially you just have a div and you put this entire stuff inside of like another div, and there we go, you don't have to provide anything. But if at any point you want to add like an attribute, a special attribute to your object, you would do something like att, right, so something like id child, right, and that will sort of act like a builder pattern, right? So you have a node in here, and then you append id to it, but the whole result is still a node, so you don't have to modify anything, right? So you create a node inside of a node, but then you can just add an id in here. It's actually quite convenient. So obviously something like this is not going to work. Unfortunately, set attribute, as far as I know, it's also not going to work. Because it returns undefined. Return, yeah, it literally returns undefined. It's not even like meant to be used in like builder pattern. So we'll have to implement something like this ourselves. So maybe one of the things we can do, we can remove the attributes. So you're not setting attributes like that. You don't need attributes in here, you don't need attributes in here. And essentially maybe for the result, we can set something like att to a function, right, to a function that accepts name and value, right, accepts name and value, and does something like this: set attribute name value, right, and returns this, right, and returns this. There we go. So now we have something like this, and there we go. Yeah, we managed to create that. So the outer tag doesn't have any ID, but the inner one has a child. But if you want to add the ID to the inner one, to the outer one, you can just do att ID parent, and yeah. So yeah, it seems to be working. So by default, you can just create these tags, if you want to add an ID, you can add it later. But by default, you don't have to do anything. Sounds good to me, actually sounds good to me. And on top of that, whatever tag returns is an actual like node, an actual HTML element, so it has all of the element methods, but we just extend it with our own ones. So it would be kind of cool to like prevent some sort of like collisions maybe in the future and whatnot. Maybe we should come up with some sort of a convention, so mark our extended method with something. Right, so, you know, jQuery style, maybe put a $, in here, but I mean, it's already taken by jQuery. I don't know, we can put like $, at the end, right? So, to be a little bit different. but it's still associated with jQuery, so it's probably bad, but I don't know. We'll see. I still haven't come up with the conventions, because I mean, it's just like in the middle of creative process. I just started developing this thing like half of an hour ago, pretty much. But I had an idea about this thing like for quite some time. All right, so maybe we can actually finally put that thing into the DOM. Let's actually try to create something more interesting. For instance, image, right? Let's create an image. So in an image, you would probably accept something like src, right? So then here you would just create an image, right? And then you would set its attribute of src to src, and there we go, you have an image. Cool. So then let's grab some image. Do we have any interesting images? For instance, gbaited. Yeah, let's grab gbaited. Let's grab gbaited, and let's put it like that. So this is a gbaited PNG, and let's create the following tag. So it's going to be entry append child img gbaited PNG. There we go. So we created an image gbaited. So if we refresh that, there we go. Here's your gbaited. So yeah. So here's an entry, and here is the gbaited image. So what I'm thinking is that, what if I create several of them? For instance, what if I have a div, and inside of a div I have 3 gbaiteds, right? So, and did it work? Did it work? I don't think it worked, which is kind of strange. Why it didn't work? So there's something missing after the list. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, so this is what it has to be. All right, so, and there we go, we have a 3 gbaited. Isn't it cool? We have 3 gbaited, but I actually want to have gbaited on their separate lines. So I can just do something like this. There we go. So every gbaited is on its separate line. And furthermore, like in my framework, I want to encourage people to create a lot of these like small functions for each individual components, right? So in like other frameworks, the component might be some sort of a class or whatnot. In my framework, a component is a function. It's a functional framework. Yes, everything is a function, including the components. Isn't that great? Isn't that great? It's always great to have some sort of a dogma to follow, right? So yeah, everything is going to be a function. And for instance, maybe I'm going to create a function called gbaited, and I can move this entire component to here, right? So let me actually align everything, and I'm going to be returning that stuff. And then I take an entry and I append gbaited, right? So that creates a new component, and here it is. So I mean, we can create more than just these things. I suppose we can actually create more. We can create elements like h1, for instance. So it's going to be children, right? And in here is going to be essentially return tag h1 children, and here you're gonna have something like this. It's gonna be h2 and maybe h3. So another kind of things we may have, we want to have p, and you can like create some sort of like markdown documents, like not really markdown documents, but I mean HTML documents with like a blog post, for instance, that has a title, subtitles, and some text and whatnot, and you can easily generate all of that on the front end. And I just realized that I forgot an extra dot in here, so I just need to do something like this. All right. So yeah, let's actually create something like blog post, right? Function blog post. So, and in here I'm going to return a div. Right? This is going to be like this, and here we're going to have h1 the title, right? The title. Then we're going to have some sort of a text in here. Maybe I'm going to actually grab lorem, right? Just some lorem. Lorem opossum. Okay, and let me just grab this thing, and I can do something like lorem, right? Just put them here. So this is something that we want to use in here. So this is going to be just p lorem. Then we can have something like 1.1 subtitle, right? Then another lorem, and then h3.1.1 subtitle, and another lorem. There we go. Should be all right. Should be all right. Let me see. Okay, so missing no 47. Yeah, I forgot a comma in here. All right, so let's actually try to replace debated with a blob post. Why is it called blob post? It's supposed to be called blog post. Okay, so blog post. Blog post, and let's see. And it failed, of course. Append child 1 is not of type h1. It happened inside of h1. Yeah. So this like text is a separate node. Okay, JavaScript create text node. I don't remember how to do that. Yeah, create text node. Okay. Wasn't it just create text? I think it was like create text. Okay, let's create a text node. So maybe we're gonna have a special function, something like text. Right? No. Document create text node, and it's just gonna do that. It's gonna be as simple as that. And now, if you want to do these kind of things, right? If you want to have a text as a child, you just wrap everything in text. I suppose that's what you have to do. Otherwise, it's not gonna work that easily. All right. So what do we have in here? Oh shit! It works. Yeah, there we go. Here's your here's your blog post generated completely inside of the JavaScript like that. Yeah, here it is. So see, it's easy. Why do you need React? Come on. So let me see. Can I do something like this? So here is the blog post. Then we have h1, and here is the text, and yeah, everything is just working correctly, more or less working correctly. So yeah, so we have two components, blog posts and debated, with a bunch of images and stuff like that. So maybe we want to create like more components. I mean, I don't know if it's a good name to call it a component. Do we have any other images in here? So checker, no. So emote gem, emote gem logo. Force in 1. I have a force in 1 image in here. Okay, let's actually grab a force in 1 image. So I'm gonna put it in here, and maybe, just maybe, I'm gonna just copy paste it like that. Force in 1. But instead of actually aligning them on different lines, we're gonna align them on the same line, so just to have some sort of a difference in here. Right, and yeah, there we go. Here they are. Here they are, and we can quite easily just switch between these kind of things, and yeah, there we go. That's pretty cool. So let's actually create meta component. Let's actually keep composing components. As you can see, we created small like building blocks, and we built bigger building blocks out of them. Let's actually continue building like bigger and bigger blocks. So you have these like 3 components. Let's implement something that allows you to switch between them. Something like put them in each individual tab. right? A thing that accepts these three components and then builds a UI with 3 tabs. Well, tabs, I mean, I'm not a designer, so I don't know how to make them look like a tabs, but they're going to be like links. So with 3 tabs, and by clicking on different tabs, it will switch between these components, like without reloading the page or anything like that. I mean, in JavaScript completely, because that's what UI frameworks are used for, aren't they? Right? So you can just transform the DOM, and as I already said, transforming a DOM is basically like inverting binary tree. Anyone can invert a binary tree. It's a very simple task. So let's composing things. Let's keep composing things. Let's keep composing things. Let's keep composing things. All right. Alrighty. Okay, so let me see. So so they also the tabs themselves should have some sort of like text on top of them. So that means each sort of tab should have a name, right? So let's create a component called tabs, and in here we're gonna have them as TS. And essentially what I want to do in here, right, I want to do something like tabs, and in here we're gonna do it like this. So first we're gonna have a gbaited component, so it's gonna be used as the name, gbaited. Then we're gonna have a blog post, and then we're gonna have the forcing one, right? There we go. So just a bunch of like things to switch between, right? And here TS is actually that. So I suppose it's gonna consist, like tabs is going to consist of 2 components in here, right? So so this is gonna be a div, some sort of like tab switcher, right? It's going to be a tab switcher, a thing that allows you to click on links, and the like a tab slot, basically where these components will go. So this tab slot is going to be the another node into which you append these pages in here, right? So that's basically what we're going to have in here. So what I'm thinking, maybe we're gonna start with developing a tab switcher, right? Let's start developing a tab switcher. So for now, I'm gonna just return just an empty div, and let's implement tab switcher. So in a tab switcher, we only need the names, right? We're only gonna accept the names, and also, I suppose, we're gonna accept a function that will accept the index of the name, right? So essentially, if you click on any of these names, you will receive an index through this function, right? And then you can do something with that index. So what we're gonna have in here, so let me see, we can take the names, and we can map them like this. So with the map, we can get the name and the index, right? The name and the index, and in here we're going to be returning what? We're going to be returning the link, right? Inside of that link, we're going to have the name, and here comes the most interesting part. So first of all, I can probably set href to just nothing, right? To just like this kind of thing, and I need to do on click of some sort, right? So I need to do on click. And here I need to set, I need to set this kind of thing, right? So that's what I want to actually do. Choose the index. Maybe I can actually collapse this entire stuff like that. Unfortunately, this presents the problem because when it's going to be implemented, it's not implemented yet. Let's actually quickly implement it. So it's going to be something like this. It's going to be All right. So when it's implemented, it's going to have its own onClick, because onClick is already a function, right? But I want onClick to act like a builder pattern thing that lets me attach onClick callback. That's what I want to do, because that's what will enable me, implementing this kind of feature. So let's maybe do something similar with ATT, right? So Unfortunately, I cannot call it on click, but again, as I already said, like we need to have some sort of a convention to prevent collision with like existing node methods. And one of the things I suggested, maybe like use a dollar, but put it at the end to not get associated with jQuery, because in jQuery it's like somewhere here. I don't know, like I'm not a web developer, I don't know web development conventions. Maybe it's a bad convention, maybe you have to do something like this. I don't know, but it looks kind of lame. So maybe we're gonna put a dollar in here. I don't know. But since we're gonna have a convention, maybe we should follow this convention like everywhere, and maybe this kind of attribute should be also ended with this kind of thing. Or maybe to make it look cooler, we can put it like between the words, like on click, and it looks fucking cool. But in that case, like, what's the actual rule? Where is the position of the dollar? I don't know. Maybe we're gonna stick with the end position. So if you do click, right, essentially, I'm gonna be accepting the callback, right? So let's actually call the callback, and let's do the following. So this is gonna be this on click. It's going to be callback, and then we're going to return this yet again. So maybe I want to do the following thing, because since we renamed this thing, when you need to rename this ATT everywhere. So it's going to be ATT dollar, and boom, 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 boom. I want you in my room. Okay, so now we're going to have a tab switcher, right? So okay, so this gives us the like a bunch of links, right? That's what it does. It gives us a bunch of links. Now we need to put them inside of some sort of a div, right? So this is going to be inside of a div, right? And we can just return this div. Yep. And since it's a list and div accepts actually REST arguments, we have to actually spread it. So we're taking the names, we map them, we map the names to the links, and we spread them in the div. So yeah, that's basically how we achieve all that. And we get a tab switcher. So it will be kind of interesting to actually try this out. We're gonna do a tab switcher, and we're gonna take the pages, right? We're gonna take the pages, and we're gonna actually take their keys. So it's gonna be object keys of TS, and yeah, so we give it the name. And then another thing that we have to actually give to the tab switcher is the function that will be called on choose. So let's actually put something like console log in there. So it will basically log the index that it receives, right? It just logs the index it receives. All right, so something like this. It will just log the index. Okay, so let's refresh, and there we go. We got the, like, they're really like collapsed together. So, but we can try to click on them, and there seems to be working. Look at that. They seem to be working. So they return the indices and stuff like that. That's actually pretty cool. Okay. To do. So maybe one of the things I want to do in here, maybe I want to wrap this entire thing into some sort of a span, right? So this is going to be a span. And that span is going to have an ID of tab switcher. Maybe it's going to be called tab. Right. So it could be just called tab. Not ID, but rather class, because there's several of them. Right. Do we even have a function span? Function div. Let's actually paste it like that. And I'm going to just call it span. And there we go. We do have that now. Right, so we have a span, it has a class tab, and inside of this thing we have a link and stuff like that, and yeah. This is a tab switcher, and let's try to refresh this entire thing, and let's take a look at the components in here. So div entry, another div, and too many divs to be fair, but here is the tab. And one of the things I want to do with the tab is add a little bit of padding between them because they're sort of smashed together. So I'm gonna go and create like a style tag. Style. There's going to be a tab and padding right. It's going to be 10 pixels. Is it going to work? Is it going to work now? No, it didn't work because it's a class. There we go. Now we're talking. So we have debated blog posts and first and one. So you can click on those things, and as you can see, you can actually select corresponding indices. Cool. So now. Maybe I'm gonna actually save the names like so, just to preserve the order, right? Because in an object, the keys are like unordered ones. So we want to have a very specific order for them, right? So whatever order happens to be here, we're gonna use that order. And the order is important because we everything is based on the index, right? So next thing we're gonna have a bunch of tags in here, and let me actually take the names and map them with name ts name, so they're gonna be appearing in the same order. And yeah, essentially. So as I already said, we also need a slot, right? We're gonna have a tab slot, which is just a div, right? Just a div. And inside of that div, we're gonna put the first slot, right? So the first, the first tag. Maybe we also need to keep track of the current tab, if you know what I'm talking about. So this is gonna be something like this. We do need to keep track of it. So I'm gonna just put it in there, and we're making a very bold assumption in here. We're making an assumption that the amount of tags is actually greater than 0. So let's actually put an insert in here just in case. Maybe we should handle that properly. I don't know, but I just want to assert that just in case. This particular code makes this kind of assumption, right? If the length is equal to 0, this will break, obviously. This will break. Okay, so, and then I'm going to just put a tab slot in here, and in here we're going to have the index, right? So we're accepting the index. And what do we do in this particular index? Well, we take the tab slot, right? We take the tab slot and we remove the child of tags current. So we're removing the current tab from there, and then we appending the child of the new index, right? And then we're making the new index the current tab. So this is how we implement the tab switcher. This is essentially how we implement the tab switcher, and it seems to be working. So we have a debated, and yeah, now we can switch between them. So yeah, so this thing has an infinite composability. This entire thing has an infinite composability. It's as simple as just like you detach this this component from the DOM and you attach another one. If you need to switch, you again detach it and attach another one, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So, and then you can add another one. So if you want to add foo, you can just always do something like div text foo, and there you go. You attached another tab in here with the word foo. As simple as that. And it's like 100 lines of code. 120. So yeah, I guess I can actually attach maybe lorem, and this one could be lorem. There we go. Oh shit, I closed it. I didn't mean to close it, but yeah, here's your lorem, here's that, and so on and so forth. You can then go to this tab switcher, right? You have a tab switcher, and maybe for that particular tab switcher, we can just do attribute class tab switcher, right? So you can put it in here, and we can go into the index HTML, and it's going to be tab switcher 1 2 3 4, and it's going to be padding bottom, and let's put some, like 20 pixels in there. I don't know. So there we go. So now we have a little bit of padding between tab switcher and everything in here, and it looks okay. Looks okay, I would say. Looks okay. So maybe we have to go a little bit deeper. So this is just a tab switcher, but you know what would be cooler? URL router, you know, in a single page application. So essentially, you start with the root component, which is a URL router. When it initializes, it looks at the URL and then parses it, and based on the URL, it displays the corresponding page that you want to have. And for example, this could be one of the pages, right? And within that one of the pages, you also have like a tab switcher that also, you know, switches up its own sub-DOM or something like that. So yeah, you can keep composing this thing as much as you want. Like you just keep composing and composing and composing and composing. So yeah, sounds pretty cool. I would like to implement that. Some sort of like a router. Some sort of like a router. All right, so maybe I need to create like a small Git repo out of that. Git init. So let's initialize this entire thing in here. So maybe I'm going to put a license. Right, so it's going to be an MIT license. You can do whatever you want with this thing. And do I want to put a readme in here? I'm not sure if I want to put it, but I just want to commit it because I'm afraid that I'm going to lose some of this code. All right, so it's going to be ready, set, go, and let's create a repo. So I'm going to create a private repo just to not spoil the topic of today's stream to people who follow me on GitHub, right? So I'm going to actually publish it after I publish the actual VOD, right? So I'm going to put it like tag.js. Okay, let's put it like this. So simple front end JavaScript framework, right? So it's going to be private, and let's just I think it's supposed to like put front end in here, right? And let's just create this repo. Let's just create this repo. It's private, as you can see, so nobody can see that. It's a secret. Don't tell anyone. It's our little secret repo. Okay, I'm gonna add origin and yes, cowboy fucking this, and let me just push that stuff right into the repo. Right into the repo. All right, so maybe we should explore the possibility of introducing the router, right? So tags.js. So how are we gonna have what kind of router are we gonna have? Let's just literally create a function called router, right? And we're gonna have routes in here, right? So we're gonna have routes in here, and how are we gonna even do that? So maybe it's gonna be just something like a router, and in here we're gonna have this thing, and here is the component at that specific router, and then you can have more in here, right? It's kind of like router is not that different from tabs. That's what's interesting about it. It's not that different from tabs. It's just like it's like tabs, but instead of tab switcher, it uses your address line. That's the main difference between like tabs and router. Seriously. It's pretty much the same thing. And so that it means that it will be relatively easy to implement it, I suppose. So we can also add something like secret / secret. So let's put something like this text. This is a secret page. This is a secret page. What are you doing in here? Right, and maybe on top of that we can just put some sort of a emote here, something like Monka Mega. So let's actually grab Monka Mega. I'm gonna copy this entire thing and wget this entire thing. Monka Mega PNG. There we go. Here's a Monka Mega PNG. And so we're gonna just put it in here. So it's the image Monka Mega PNG, Monka Mega PNG. So all of that doesn't work because we don't have a router, right? We just don't have a router, but maybe I just want to see if this entire thing works at all. So entry append child, right? Entry append child. and it's gonna be something like this. Something didn't work. Time to look at the console. Time to look at the console. Okay, so what we have in here is comma. Okay, there we go. It's kind of big, to be fair. It's kind of too big. So maybe we could have a smaller version. Maybe I can actually resize it super quick. I'm gonna do convert, resize 22, 28, maybe 28 monk mega png. Well, what did it say? I didn't see what it said. No image defined. Okay, so I suppose it has to be, yeah, it has to be put in here. Resize 28, and I suppose also Monka Mega small PNG. Now, thank you for such a beautiful error message. It was really helpful, Image Magic. I really appreciate it. Okay, so this one is going to be small. Okay, and it's a little bit smaller. It looks like shit, by the way. I wonder why it looks like shit. Let's use the original one, but let's actually put it in a div, maybe. We can also put the text inside of P, so it's on a separate thingy in here, right? So it's gonna be that, and yeah, looks okay. Of course, I forgot the comma. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so that's a good looking page. That's a good looking page. So I'm gonna grab this page and I'm going to put it into the secret route. Right, that's what I'm gonna do. That's what I'm gonna do. Okay, so this is basically the root of our application. The root of our application. So you have an entry, you append the router, and the router will look at the current location. Based on location, it will switch to the corresponding thing. All right. So interestingly enough, I think, as far as I know, like location, doing something with a location. Okay, let's just remove like a return div. So this is going to be text, and that's all we have to do. It's not implemented yet. It's not implemented yet. So I think I want to make a small break because I need to make another cup of tea, and I also need to pee. So, and after the break, we're gonna continue working on the router. It's actually super interesting. So I really like how simple this idea is, but yet how composable it is. You can just like keep stacking these things upon each other, and yeah, it's just a matter of implementing something more complex in this framework. You know what I mean? Because something more complex will probably require more of these kind of functions, and what we need to do here, we need to understand what kind of functions we'll need. But I really like how it's like basically like a thin, very thin layer on top of vanilla JS. That's what I like about this thing. It's just like very thin layer, but yet it's very composable. It's just like you rub it a little bit at the right, into the right interfaces, and they just like fit together perfectly. It's just like, yeah, kind of cool. It's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. Okay, let's make a small break. Let's make a small break. So it's gonna be 3 minutes, of course. So it's gonna be 3 minutes, and right. So let's listen to some music. All right. Let's make some break. You guys have fun. A little bit over time, sorry about that. Just a little bit. So I'm just waiting for my kettle. Yeah. So as far as I know, how do you get location? JavaScript location. Oh, I think yeah, so document location actually contains a lot of things. Like, yeah. As far as I know, trying to like look at different locations. Like location is more of like a back-end thing. As far as I know, like the usual trick that people use on the web is when they store the route inside of like this little thing. If you want to make like a single page application, right? So this is one of the things you can do. Right, so your route is inside of the hash, so it's completely single page inside of like a completely front end, and which is actually quite good for us because Emote Gem doesn't have any backend, right? It doesn't have any backend, so if we're gonna have like different pages in here, it would be pretty convenient to have separate paths like that. So is there any way, any other way to manage routes in single page applications without any backend? To be fair, I don't know. Maybe there is. So let me know if there is some way, because this is the only way that I know, right? It's just that you put it in the hash, right? And maybe this is exactly what we're going to do right now, right? We're going to just look at the path in the hash and dispatch the different pages upon that. Yeah, and once we have that, it would be actually pretty convenient in the Emote Gem, for example, to edit filters, right? For maybe we're gonna have a separate like a filter editor where the user can input their shaders, their shader parameters and stuff like that, and it's gonna be a completely separate page hidden from the regular user, right? You'll probably have to click some special secret button in here, and it's going to be a completely separate route within a single page application, right? And it's necessary because, again, our application doesn't even have any backend, so everything happening on the front end. So yeah, I think my tea is ready, so I'm gonna go and pour myself a cup of water. Okay. It would be cool to actually explore if some of these things could be extracted into separate components of the framework. Right. So WebGL preview could be just a component that you can reuse and just embed into your page, and stuff like that. Yeah. And maybe we could actually like extract like a core functionality of Emote gem into some sort of a library that you can embed into your website if you want to. That would be cool, I think. That would be kind of cool. I don't know. I'm not a web developer. I'm just a dreamer. I'm just a memer, and I meme my life away. Okay. So what I want you to take a look at, I want you to take a look at this thing. So do we have anything in the hash? So it's going to be document location, and it's going to be hash. Hash doesn't contain anything. Okay, so if I put something like secret in here, right? So this one is going to be a secret, and it couldn't do anything, unfortunately. Is that because of this? Yeah, there we go. So, and if I take a look at the document location, and if specifically hash, I think I'm interested in hash, it contains the secret. Interestingly enough is that if the hash doesn't have anything in here, right, it doesn't have anything in here, it doesn't contain the hash. All right, let's go to the secret page, and maybe a secret full bar or whatnot. I'm not sure how useful that is, but let's start with something like this. All right, and this is the hash, and can I split this thing by the hash? Okay, and then take the first one. Okay, so here is the secret. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. So that's how we're going to be parsing all that. Well, in this case, maybe the root has to be actually described like this, right? Because if, for instance, your stuff is empty, right? If the route is actually empty, right? If you try to do that, it's going to be completely undefined. That's very interesting. So it doesn't crash or anything. It's just undefined, mate. Fucking undefined, mate. All right. So when we're constructing a route, what is the easiest way to do that? So there should be some way to know that the location is updated, right? Is there some way to know that the location is updated? JavaScript location hash callback. Is there any way for us to know that? Window event handler on hash, there is such thing. My God. So window on hash change. All right. So maybe we're going to have some sort of like a method, I suppose. Right. So you just give it a div, and I can do it as a result. So this is going to be a div, and in here we can have some sort of a method sync, right? Right. And of course it has to be something like this, right? So it's going to be method sync, and that method is going to be called, like you're supposed to call it to synchronize the hash. Maybe we're going to even call it sync hash. Yeah, boy, sync hash. Right, and in here we're supposed to be doing the following thing. Right, we're supposed to be doing the following thing. We also need to know what's the current thing if we need to remove everything. But maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe one of the things we can do, we can remove all of the children from the node. JavaScript remove all children. I'm gonna get on some sort of FBI playlist, FBI playlist. Yes. So get elements by ID, inner HTML, clear text content, looping to remove every last child. Remove every last child. Okay, last element ID, clear children, monkey patch. I don't know what is a monkey patch. Oh, this is what is called monkey patch. It's when you add methods. Maybe this is how you're supposed to actually extend the... Okay, so there is a notion of monkey patching. Script monkey patch. Okay, monkey patching in JavaScript. Okay, apparently it's a thing. I didn't know that JavaScript people call it like that. When working on a project, we often... really? A monkey patching is a technique to add, modify, or suppress the default behavior of a piece of code at runtime without changing its original source code. Okay. All right. Okay, I see what you mean. Maybe that's precisely what we're doing in here. We're sort of, but I mean, it's not like we are changing the default behavior. Right? It's not like we're changing the default behavior, sort of extending the functionality of this thing. And maybe it has to be done through the like magical like prototypes or something, but I'm not a JavaScript developer, so I don't know how to do that. So this works for now. If it breaks, we can fix it later. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It is not a showstopper. It is not a showstopper. So the only thing I need to know is to know what's the current element so I can easily remove it. I guess for now the easiest thing to do here would be to loop through every children. Looping to remove every children. Yeah. While you have a first child, you remove the last child. Okay, that makes sense. So in here, like while this first child, right? This remove child, this last child. Okay, that's cool for now at least, right? So that way I don't have to keep track of what's the current one, what's not current one, and shit like that. It just doesn't matter. All right. So next I need to take a look at the location document, location hash, and again I'm splitting all of that stuff by hash, right? Splitting all that stuff by hash and taking the first one, right? And so here we can set something like location. Okay, hash location. Let's actually call it hash location. Okay, maybe I'm gonna actually put it like let if hash location, maybe not hash location. We're gonna set the hash location to slash. And there we go, we have a hash location. So this way, maybe because of that, we're going to do it like this. By the way, is empty string false? Is empty string false? So let me close all this shit. If console log yes, actually no, otherwise consoling log. Yes, so it answers the question whether it's false or not. That's why it has to be like that. Yes, it is false. That's perfect. So that means if it's going to be undefined or empty, it's going to be automatically redirected to a hash. Perfect. Perfect. Okay, so we remove all of this shit. And then if routes, if routes JavaScript, check if object has a key. Okay. If hash location in routes, we're gonna just do the following thing. We remove all the children, and then we set this. To routes hash location. Okay, we set this location in here. Otherwise, we need to do something. I don't know. Let's put it like this. 404. I don't know. Maybe slash 404, and in here we can do something like text path is not found. It's one of the things we can do. Why not? I don't see anything wrong with that. Right. So, and essentially, if, for instance, you don't have any of this stuff, right? Oh, but we can actually put it like this, right? We can actually put it like this. And if this entire thing not in here, right? The hash location will be /404, and we actually do assert in here from console log. Actually assert that 404 is located in routes, right? If it's not located in routes, like you're doing something wrong. So console route 404, right? And so hash location, then we remove everything from this thing, and then we use that thing, and there we go. So yeah, this entire thing just synchronizes the hash location. Just synchronizes the hash location. So maybe we can do it like that. We can probably take this thing and just make it an app. Right, so here is an app. There we go. And then we append the app to the entry, and then in here we can do different things. Okay, window on hash changed or something. On hash change. Hash change, and here we're going to be doing the following thing. I'm going to just be doing app sync hash. There we go. Sync hash. So does it pass the new hash value there? Reference to a function using an event handler. Okay, on hash change, location hash changed, and you actually take it directly from there. Okay. I guess that's pretty much it, if I understand this stuff correctly. Yeah. Let me try to run this entire thing, and something went wrong. Nice. I'm really happy about that. I suppose it was never actually synced, right? So that's basically what happened in here. It was never actually synced. We can do something like this. Okay, we're gonna sync the hash, right? We sync the hash once first. Okay, maybe let's actually confirm that this is because of that. So I'm gonna put something like text hash is not synced, and there we go, hash is not synced. So then we are going to sync the hash before setting up the event listener, and boom, we have this shit. And within this shit, we can click on these things. Isn't that amazing? I think it's goddamn amazing. So within this page, at the bottom somewhere there, so this is a bunch of tabs. I can actually put this thing into its own separate div, like this. All right. And in here, I can add a link, all right, some sort of a link, saying something like secret page, and that link is going to have href equal to secret, I suppose. That's how we're going to actually do that. Let's refresh all of that. And as you can see, now we have a secret page down there, and it leads to secret. I can switch between tabs and stuff like that. It's all working, and then I click on secret page. This is a secret page. What are you doing in here? My God. It actually works. I can go back now and keep switching between these things, and then a secret page yet again on a different route, and then I can do something like this, path not found, and it works. Like it's a 160 lines framework. Right, it's pretty straightforward, not gonna lie. Yeah, and it's pretty fast, right? It's pretty fast because it just switches between like these nodes and whatnot. And here's a secret page, and that's precisely the mechanism that we're gonna use in Emote Jam. For example, switching between the main application here, like, is going to be visible for the users, but then somewhere here, a shader developer will be able to click on one of these things and essentially switch the whole the page to the shader editor, right? Some sort of a shader editor, and edit the shaders and do their thing. So yeah, I think it's going quite well so far. So we have a router that does things. I like that. I really like that. It's actually super fun. Yep. And it's super easy to extend. I can just add any page at any point. For instance, like foo. And this one is going to be the text foo page. Right, and now if I refresh this entire thing and I just go to foo, here's the foo page. So it's as easy as that. I remove the foo page, path not found anymore, and I can go to the main one. To be fair, when the path not found, we can also add some sort of a link back to main page, right? You know what I'm talking about? PA text back to main page, back to home, right? And this one is going to be just href entity href back to this thing. And something broke. I broke something. It's probably like a syntax error. Yeah. I forgot the comma. Classic. Goddamn classic. All-time classic. And if I go here, path not found, back to home, there we go. And yeah, this is like a straight up website. Like, what the fuck? Yeah, this is so much fun. I really like it. I don't need React to have fun with web development. I don't need any of this shit. All right, so one of the questions I wanted to actually answer to myself is it possible to extract the Emote Jam OpenGL preview to one of these like tag components, right? Can I just like wrap this entire thing into a tag component? That would be goddamn cool. Not gonna fucking lie, mate. That would be cool. So, and what kind of things this component may have? Well, it may actually have a special method that accepts new image data, right? To reset its own thing. It may accept the name of the filter that you need to apply, right? And stuff like that, and it will just automatically work like a black box, right? So the only thing you provided is the filter and the image, and it just previews that thing for you. And then we're going to compose this entire page out of these small components, or out of these small UI components. And again, all of that is just like a thin layer over vanilla JS. So not using any frameworks or any shit like that. Nice. Again, I have to put a disclaimer. I'm not saying that using frameworks is a bad thing, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't use React, Angular, Vue, or whatever you want to use. I'm just saying that I'm just want to have fun. Okay, let me have fun. Thank you. We have half of an hour, so I don't know what we're gonna do within half of an hour. We can try to extract these like WebGL components, right? So we can try to do that. To be fair, it shouldn't be that difficult because it's just a canvas, right? Just simply a canvas. All right. So let's try to create the WebGL component. Let's create a separate page called WebGL. So by the way, my usage of quotes is inconsistent. I hope it's not going to piss off anyone. So WebGL preview. So this is going to be our page component. So anything function WebGL preview. There we go, and we're gonna return here something like. Actually, maybe we have to just have something like a canvas, right? So let's have something like canvas. And in here, let's just create this thing. Right, so it's gonna be a canvas. There we go. Okay, WebGL. Not found. Interesting. Because I forgot a slash in here. So the router is not perfect, as you can see. So it doesn't match, it matches everything like very, very strictly. I'm pretty sure it could be improved and relaxed a little bit, but for now, I think it's good enough. I think for now, the router is good enough. So here is the WebGL, and maybe for the WebGL preview, I'm going to do something like maybe dev. Simple WebGL component. There we go. So simple WebGL component, and in here, if we take a look at this kind of stuff, too many divs. Here's the canvas. Here's the canvas that we have. Can I add some attributes in here, like width? Width being equal to, I don't know, 800, maybe 112, and the same thing should go for the height, right? Height input. I meant height. Thank you so much. All right. So yeah, here we go. So it's 112 by 112. Okay. So we also need to initialize this canvas, as far as I know. So maybe it would make sense to extract this entire thing like that. Preview canvas, right? So this is going to be the preview canvas, and maybe in here we want to have something like a preview width equal to 112 and height being also equal to 112. So, and that's how we're going to approach all that. So preview width and preview height. Height. Ahoy! Ahoy! What the fuck is wrong with me? I think I'm an idiot. I'm supposed to be actually replacing these things. Okay, so maybe I can do something like this. I'm already getting tired, as you can see. That's what it's supposed to be doing. I don't know what's going on with me. Alright, so is there HTML5 canvas example? Do we have an HTML5 canvas example? Okay, just give me example. Just give me example, mate. So we also have to create the context. Okay. Just gonna be const preview context. So this one is a preview canvas. And we get the 2D one. So let's actually initialize 2D for now, just to see if it's gonna work properly and whatnot. and yeah, then we can see what we can do. Then we can try to initialize like a WebGL one. Initializing WebGL is usually a pain in the ass, just like with OpenGL. So I'm not sure what exactly we're gonna do there, but yeah. So once we have that, what can I do in there? Can I fill a rectangle? Is there something like a rect? Is there any way to fill a rect? Yeah, you do fill a rect like that. So we have to put a style. As far as I know, if you want to fill this, like set the fill style, you can always like set like red in here, and that's totally fine. So it's like very polymorphic and whatnot. Right, so preview context, and we fill the rect, and we may try to fill it like this, maybe 50 by 50. Right, and we'll see what's gonna happen. So do I need to do a stroke or anything? It looks like I don't have to do any of this stuff. All right. So let me refresh everything, and there we go. We have this thing. Isn't that amazing? So, and yeah, it's a separate component. At any point, you can actually just go here, secret page, and maybe WebGL, and there we go. It's pretty cool. Maybe we're gonna have something like other pages in here, right? Div, right, and then this one is gonna be h1, maybe h2, other pages. So we're gonna have a secret page, which is also gonna be something like div, and WebGL page, which is gonna be WebGL, and yeah, that's pretty much it. On top of that, we can maybe have a back to home on both secret page and WebGL page. Not quite sure, but we can just do it like that. I mean, sure. It's not that difficult to actually add all of that stuff in here. And something went horribly wrong. 174, forgot a comma. I'm getting used to this kind of errors. Append child node is not a node or something, I suppose. Yikes, 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 yikes. 35, all right, 167, H2. For some reason it didn't work the way I expected it to work. This is because it has to be a text. Shit. It's actually a super common mistake. Maybe we can do something like... So, let me see. So here's a child, and can I type of console log type of child? String. Okay, so can I do something like if type of child equal to string? Just throw like a more readable exception. Throw new error or something. JavaScript throw new error. Is that what you do in the JavaScript? I'm pretty sure that's how we do that. You provide the description inside of an error and stuff like that. Yes, sir. This is how we do that. And here we're gonna do something like that. Looks like you are trying to add string as the tag component. Wrap it with the text function to turn the string into the text node. Right, that's precisely what's happening there. Right, I think it's a little bit more like self-descripting thing, which actually explains the situation. Looks like you're trying to add a string as the tag component. Wrap it with the text function to turn the string into the text node. And then you can go in here somewhere. Can I go here? And there we go. And it actually precisely gives you the place where this kind of shit happens. Right. Since this is such a common situation, we can actually catch it and give the user of the framework more information. Why not? Right. Let's actually be a good framework. Okay, so let's put it like this, and now we know how to fix this entire shit. Okay, that's pretty cool. So we can go back to home, and in home we have other pages. We have secret page, you can go back to home, and WebGL page, and in WebGL page we can do this kind of thing. And this is a single page application that doesn't have any backend. It's like literally index.html. So yeah, we can already like move between these things and stuff like that. So Yeah. Though, like, all of these pages are automatically initialized and created, but it's not that difficult to actually create those pages lazily as you try to access them. So I don't think it's that big of a deal. The main difference is going to be that, for example, a router, instead of ready components, right? A router, instead of ready components, will accept functions that create those components, right? And then if you try to access those functions for the first try, it will create them and cache them. Or maybe not. Maybe if you switch to a different page, it's supposed to throw away that entire thing. It depends. It's not that difficult to implement at the end of the day. That's my point. So yeah. I really like what's going on here. I really like it. So secret page. It's a secret page, WebGL page. And yeah. Okay. So we have that thing. So in Emote.js, so let me take a look at what we got. So we have a lot of shit in here. Right. So to initialize OpenGL, to initialize WebGL. Okay, so we have to get the context, but instead of taking 2D context, we have to take the WebGL context. Let's try to do that. Let's try to take the WebGL context. So it's going to be WebGL. Here's the WebGL context. And something went wrong. I'm pretty sure it already crashed. Fill rect is not a function because it's not available in the WebGL context, of course. So yeah. And because all the pages are automatically created, right, even though you don't try to access them, if one of the pages fails, it's going to fail the whole application. Again, it's not that difficult to fix. You just need to make them lazy. Okay? So it's not that difficult to fix. All right. So WebGL and everything seems to be initialized. Okay. Maybe we can even do something like, so this is the context, and we usually call this thing JL, and if it's not JL, we should usually, like, we want to throw an error saying that we couldn't initialize this thing. So then we enable the blending, the alpha blending, and some other stuff. So this is not WebGL initialization of any sort. So then we're creating a mesh position for like rects and stuff like that. So I might as well actually grab this entire thing. So yeah, as you can see, initializing WebGL is usually like a very, very painful process. So it's just like a lot of code that you need to write, and I usually just copy paste this code because I already wrote it once. I don't want to write it like every time, right? It's just like easier to copy paste this thing. Okay, and then we are organizing the event loop. This one is interesting, actually. We're organizing the event loop. So where should we organize that event loop? We can organize it within the thing, but maybe we don't need to organize it at all. To be fair, maybe we can just render like one frame once and just call it a day. Why not? Yeah. So the thing we need to do in here, we just need to set up the background color, right? Set up the background color. I wonder if we just set up the background color, will that be enough? I think yes. So we can even get rid of the mesh position for now. Right, let's just set the background color as the green one. And if I refresh, yeah, there we go. So here is the green color, right? So that's pretty poog, I'm not gonna lie. But it would be interesting if we could render something with the shaders and whatnot, right? Be interesting if we can render that with the shaders and whatnot. But to render the shaders, we need to be able to compile the shaders, right? So we need something like compile shader source, link shader program, and so on and so forth. All right. So let me copy paste these chunks of code. I don't know, maybe I'm gonna create a separate file, WebGL.js, where I'm gonna keep all of that stuff to not pollute the main framework. main framework thing. It's just gonna be a WebGL. Yeah, I'm gonna copy paste this stuff in here. So, and I suppose the another thing we want to do, the another thing is just a mesh position, right? We want to initialize mesh position. Maybe I'm gonna have a separate function for that. But since it's a static draw, right? Since it's a static draw, maybe it doesn't really matter. Okay, let's go to WebGL and create a function, something like prepare mesh position attribute, right? So, and in here we're going to be putting this kind of stuff. We don't need that stuff. Okay, so it's going to be like that. So mesh position attribute, and after that I'm going to be just drawing this kind of stuff. There we go. All right, let's see how many errors we're going to see in here. Triangle pair is not implemented. Okay, so this is basically means that I need to add WebGL.js in here, right? And okay, we don't have invalid shaders or anything like that. Okay, so maybe we need to implement some shaders. Let's see what kind of shaders we can implement. Maybe we can steal some of the shaders. What kind of shaders we can steal? So the first one, I think I'm gonna take a look at the shaken one, which is the hard one, right? So I'm gonna just steal this entire thing into WebGL, right? So here it is. So this is the vertex shader source code. Const vertex shader source. Vertex shader source. And this is going to be the end, and this is going to be fragment shader source. Just going to put it like that, fragment shader source, and this one is going to be just that. So here's the vertex and fragment shader sources. So we prepare a mesh position attribute, and maybe another thing we want to do, we want to prepare shaders. Function prepare shaders, right? And in here, what we're going to be doing is compile shader source. So we're going to be compiling these things. Vertex shader source, fragment shader source. All right, and then we link the program and we use this program. Okay, cool. We link the program and we use this program. So do we need anything else? I suppose I don't think so. So here's the mesh position. We just use the mesh position for the original position. Everything in here can be removed. We don't have a resolution and time, only mesh position in UV. Here is UV, and in UV, I suppose in UV we want to render something new. So for now, I think I'm gonna do something like this, right? So GL frag color is going to be just vec4 0 0 1, right? So it's going to be that. Oh, sorry, I don't know what happened to me. And yeah, so we're preparing the shaders and shit like that. Okay. So we need to prepare some other stuff. So let's go in here. All right. So prepare mesh position attribute. Prepare shaders. So we will need at least JL, and let's see how miserably it fails. Okay, so 56. Actually, a different thing. 56. GL is not defined. Wait, what? GL is not defined? Really? Didn't I? Okay, I forgot to save this thing. All right, vertex attrib is not defined. Okay, let's grab it. Vertex attrib. Where is it defined? Okay, so it's essentially this thing. We're gonna put it in here, so it's available to everyone. All right, and shader is actually working because we're setting the color red inside of the shader. okay, this is precisely what I wanted to see. So I can set blue and it's going to be blue. So that means we control the shader. So we can actually do some interesting shit. For example, HSL, right? So if we have HSL to RGB, right? And then in here, we can just use this as the color, like a rainbow color. Right, so this is the rainbow color. It's based on the time, but I didn't think we have any time, so it's gonna be just, you know, a rainbow. And yeah, there we go, we have a rainbow. Nice, nice. And this rainbow is actually generated on GPU. So yeah, we can wrap sort of like WebGL, our WebGL code into this sort of like a tag component. It's not that hard, right? You just have to perform the calls and stuff like that. But it will be interesting to explore how to expose some methods to actually supply a texture for the WebGL, how to supply different filters and whatnot. But I think this is a pretty good base for what I'm trying to implement. I think it's a pretty good base. So let me actually do a committee. So I think we don't use this thing. All right. Okay. Implement a router and several pages with several things. All right, and I'm gonna push that right into the repo. So I'm gonna put the repo in the description, of course. The repo is gonna be available after the vote is out. Right, so to not spoil things for people who follow me on GitHub, it's not going to be published right away. So, right, it's going to be available a little bit later. So, source code tag JS. It's not the official name of the framework, right? It's not the official name of the framework. It's a code name. I haven't come up with the official name yet. It's a secret. But yeah, that's basically the sketch of the framework that I want to implement, right? So I'm not claiming that this is like a ready-to-use framework. I literally implemented it in 2 hours live, well, kind of live, like on a recording. So it's obviously not finished. So just a warning, don't think it's a finished product. I just implemented it. I just pulled it out of my ass. So do you want to use something that was just pulled out of the ass? No, you want it to polish. You want to polish the shit until it's shiny. Anyway, I think today was a pretty good sesh. Thanks everyone who's watching me right now. I really appreciate it. Have a good one, and I see you all tomorrow. Tomorrow we're gonna do game development because tomorrow we're supposed to be doing web development, but I decided to do web development today. So tomorrow is gonna be game development in C++. Thanks everyone for all the support, for all the donations. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I'm gonna go. Thanks everyone for watching. Love you all. Mwah.